Joe poured all the gunpowder into his father's funeral urn. The Russian nesting dolls his father left behind also became Joe's favorite toys because there were so many of them, and they exploded with such a crisp, loud bang. Once he reached adulthood, he set his sights on the family toilet. When there was nothing left at home to blow up, Joe moved his battlefield to the mountains. A wealthy passerby, struck by a sudden urge to relieve himself, scrambled for a spot on the hillside. Although the resulting explosion was a massive success, Joe was promptly sent to a mental asylum. Joe remained in the asylum until he was 90 years old. But one day, a fox killed his beloved cat. Furious, Joe took some sausages, bundled them with sticks of dynamite, and placed them next to the cat's body. After a night of waiting, the fox finally appeared, and Joe quietly detonated the explosives. This explosion reignited Joe's passion for life. So, on his 100th birthday, Joe actually jumped out of the window and escaped the asylum. He hurried to the bus station and bought a ticket for the earliest departure. Just as he was about to board, a mobster carrying a suitcase stepped up. Desperate for the restroom but unable to fit his suitcase into the stall, the mobster entrusted it to Joe for safekeeping. However, Joe's bus was about to leave, so he simply took the suitcase and boarded the bus. When the mobster came out and found both Joe and the suitcase gone, he let out a roar of fury. Midway through the trip, Joe ran out of money and got off. While passing an abandoned station, he was called out to by a station master who thought he was lost and invited him inside for a meal. While Joe was in the restroom, the mobster, who had been trailing him, burst through the back door and threatened the station master to hand over the suitcase. Hearing the commotion, Joe looked for a weapon. He grabbed an iron wrench but found it too heavy, so he switched to a wooden mallet and knocked the mobster unconscious from behind, saving the station master. The two dragged the thug into a walk-in freezer. Curious, Joe opened the suitcase and found it stuffed with cash. Joe remained calm, finally understanding why the mobster was so frantic. Overwhelmed and unsure of what to do, the two men could only keep drinking. By the time they snapped out of it, they discovered the mobster had already frozen into a solid block of ice in the freezer. With no other choice, the two of them began their getaway, taking both the suitcase and the frozen corpse with them.